Hello everybody, welcome to MORE-VILLE, ORVILLE, episode number 8. I'm your co-host Michael, and I'm joined by G.I. Jolie.
Hello!
And Champ Ian.
Hi Mike, hi Jolie, how you doing today?
Great.
Good. For a second, I thought you said, I'm Mike.
I'm Mike.
I'm Mike.
Hi, welcome to MORE-VILLE, ORVILLE. I'm your co-host Mike L.
Anyway, I have no comeback for that. Anyway, so yeah, this week, it kind of lines up. Like we said, the episode numbers of our show match the episode numbers of ORVILLE, so it kind of works out for everybody, right?
Yeah.
This week, we're going to talk about an episode called Into the Fold, which was written by Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis. Brandon Braga is Star Trek Next Generation alumni, or alumnus. And apparently he did write the episode, but it was also heavily rewritten by Seth MacFarlane, because apparently what happened was Brendan Braga tried to add in a bunch of jokes to make it fit the style of the show, and then Seth MacFarlane rejected all of them and just added in his own jokes. However, this episode, I would argue, probably feels the most like a Star Trek episode, but Ian is going to tell us the plot first so that our listeners know which episode we're talking about.
This was a great episode. It starts off with Claire, Dr. Claire Finn. She's going to be taking her sons, Marcus and Ty, on a little vacation. And Gordon, I guess he can't come along. He would be navigating the shuttle to get them to this planet that they're going to. But the Orville needs some repairs, and Gordon is needed in engineering for that. So Isaac tags along. So the four of them, Claire and Isaac, Ty and Marcus, are going to this planet. The kids are fighting, as kids do. And Isaac is he's confused, but he is watching along in interest because he's trying to learn about people. He's trying to learn about humans. So he's studying these kids and their interactions with their mother. But as they continue to fight, I think Ty takes Marcus's Game Boy and throws it across the shuttle. It hits the control panel. The shuttle veers off course and goes through some sort of spatial anomaly and crash lands on a moon far, far, far away from everybody. The shuttle breaks into pieces. Claire ends up on one part of the planet. Isaac ends up with the kids on a completely different part of the planet. And the rest of the episode is essentially them trying to reunite everyone. So we learn that this planet is inhabited by a race of people that have suffered calamity due to a war, and everyone is basically sick and cannibalistic. Claire is kidnapped by someone who ostensibly is claiming to try to protect her, but keeps her captive in his creepy apartment. She escapes, and that's where I forget what happens. Oh my goodness.
She escapes and is able to find her communicator inside the apartment and a weapon. So what happens is she doesn't really escape, but she finds out she's like on the billionth floor of an apartment building. What used to be an apartment building. She's able to crawl out the window and onto the patio of is that what you call an apartment?
Kind of. Balcony, yeah.
Balcony, that's it. She crawls into his creepy apartment and finds her communicator and a weapon, contacts Isaac and says she'll meet them down at the remains of the shuttle that Isaac and the boys were in. And I mean, she eventually gets there. She doesn't tell the boys. She doesn't tell them where she is, which I found very strange, but also they elaborate on that more later.
There's also a subplot there where Isaac has to find some sort of material, something to power a communicator so that he can try and get a message out to the Orville. Mm-hmm. And he finds some, but it's not very good, so he's worried that the signal's not going to make it through. Mm-hmm. The Orville hears it anyway, and they come screaming out of this wormhole. and they find this gas giant planet with 500,000 moons, and they have to scan them all.
I love it. Yep.
And I guess also because Isaac is with the boys, he has to feed them, and one of them drinks the water on the planet.
Oh, yes.
And the younger one, Ty, and he, the urgency, the subplot of their subplot becomes more urgent because he starts to develop the same sort of dermal disease that the people who inhabit the cannibals on the planet have developed over time. Claire finds them, and Isaac kind of breaks it to her that it could be weeks before the Orville finds them, and she kind of is like, I was able to get a sample from one of the cannibals, and I can synthesize a cure for my son, but I need my lab on the Orville, and I can't wait weeks, and Ty might die before then. And it kind of like, it gets really serious, it gets really sad. And then Alara, because they're scanning the moons, right? They're scanning the moons.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alara is able to pick up a very faint, their very faint signal, but it almost gets dismissed as planetary noise. But Mercer and Kelly, you know, they know that they've gone missing at this point, I guess, and they're like, no, we should check any weird things. We should always do that. Mm-hmm. And they do, and they find that it is sort of a beacon, and then they come to the rescue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're able to cure Ty. I don't know that they cure any of the cannibals on the face of that planet.
No, they don't. Claire expresses a hope that one day they can come back to maybe
help
cure them.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they're just going to sit there dissolving and eating each other.
That's the one thing that's a little bit callous, where I actually didn't expect Dr. Claire to just shoot that guy. And then she also was gunning down the other ones left and right. In fact, they all were.
Didn't the Orville destroy a bunch of them from orbit, too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What's really crazy is that she gives, not Ty, the other son. Marcus. She gives Marcus a gun, and she says, remember, keep it to stun, because while they might not value human life, or they might not value life, we do. And then they're stunning all of these cannibals, and the Orville rushes in and then just explodes.
Yeah, wipes them all out, yeah.
I was like, guys, hello? What happened to not interfering in other cultures? Whoops.
Right? And I mean, like, you have to chuckle a little bit, because the Orville is rushing in and they have no information. They just see people that are approaching their away team, and they're like, "Oh, better kill them." They have no idea. It might be like it might be their entire medical community coming to try and save this kid, right?
Yeah.
They might be trying to help. Nope, let's just blow them up.
No. Yeah. So yeah. The episode sort of ends on a familial note where I don't know if they're trying to humanize Isaac at all, but if they are, this is a really good way to do it. Claire thanks Isaac for helping with the boys, helping to take care of them when she wasn't able to. She can't really express to Isaac the love a parent has for their children, because he just wouldn't understand. He's a robot, but she calls him, she says welcome to the family to him, and pretty much this is kind of a little part of trying to make Isaac appear more human. You know how Data was always, Lieutenant Data, was always trying to understand humans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to do the same thing here, but it's a little less clumsy.
I mean,
maybe
I think
it is clumsy. I'm not sure.
I thought it was really well done. Like, in fact, like this is the first episode where I was like, yeah, this is an episode of Star Trek, you know. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it was written by Brendan Braga didn't surprise me at all. Like, it really felt like this could fit in with TNG anywhere. And the way that they were writing Isaac was 100% the way they'd write Data. And like there was obviously added gags where I think at one point he's like, "Would you like me to destroy them?" when he's talking to the two kids or whatever, or annihilate them. But then there was a part where the little kid was really scared, and so then Isaac says, "I will need my hand to whatever," and then the older brother says, "Just hold his hand." Like little moments like that are 100% something that I would see in TNG. I think they were really well done.
Well, yeah, and then later, unprompted, he holds Claire's hand because she's scared. He identifies that she's scared and that it's helpful for humans to hold their hands and comfort them. He just does it. And Claire kind of gives him a look but doesn't think about anything of it.
Right.
Just touch me right here.
Yeah. It was just, I really like this episode. I don't know. I have nothing really bad to say about it. All the characters fit. Like, it just felt like it was also. It's not the first time they're off the ship, but the first time they're isolated off the ship. I think so. It felt more like a Star Trek episode to me. Mm-hmm. Ian, what do you think?
I agree. This is the characters all meshed really well. I think that the interplay between Isaac and the kids made the episode. I think. Because the kids you're dealing with like a raw, unfiltered sort of humanity. And it's the most basic sort of humanity that Isaac is going to be exposed to. The other point that I like to make is like, I'm really glad that these kids are decent actors. Because every other time, right, you see a kid in a Star Trek episode, and I just want to pull my hair out, right? Every single kid in Star Trek The Next Generation is just annoying. I want to flip the channel. You
didn't like Worf's son?
Oh, Worf's son is the exception. No, absolutely not. Just poorly written.
Anyway.
Poorly written, poorly acted, but Ty and Marcus, they did a great job. And at no point was I like, oh, these annoying kids. No, they acted like... They didn't act like kids acting. They acted like kids.
Right. I agree.
And they showed the same sort of range of emotions that kids would have, of feeling scared and feeling vulnerable and latching on to the only adult figure in the area, which just happens to be a robot.
Right.
And I think that worked really well.
Now, here's the thing. The way that they depicted what do you want to call these guys? The cannibals, and then the one who kidnapped Claire, who's the same actor that played the bounty hunter in X-Files. That's what I know him from.
His name is Drogon.
Okay. I guess that could have been... I don't know how they could have improved it, but maybe it could have been a little bit more fleshed out or something. I don't know. It's almost like I wasn't sure if I was supposed to feel sympathy for Drogon, or maybe it's like he should have been either scarier and more violent with Claire, or he should have been more sympathetic. But the fact that he was kind of neutral, but then she ends up shooting him anyway. I mean, granted, he did try to attack her. Or no, first she attacked him. She attacked him, right? And then he attacked her, I think.
Well, he did drag her away.
And kidnap her, that's true. I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where it's...
But he arguably saved her life as well, right? It's really hard to tell. And Mike, that's a good... Like, you're making a good point that he needed to be more fleshed out. I think we needed to know more about him, and we needed to know more about the circumstances that entire civilization got to where they were. Like, we know that it was a war, and that the water supply was poisoned, but beyond that, like, I think a little bit more backstory there would have made his character a little bit more engaging, and then we would have known what to feel about the relationship between Claire and him.
Right.
Because it seemed there's two writers, and Andre Bormani is, let's see, it looks like Brendan Braga, from what I've read on the wiki, is that he sort of like they make references to him passing the script by Seth MacFarlane for comedy's sake. And I wonder, because his co-writer for the episode, he has more, I'm trying to find other credits. He has Next Generation credits, Voyager and Deep Space Nine. He also worked on the films. He was a science consultant, actually. Never mind. So I wonder if he was more of a consultant or if he took a writing lead on things that would need consulting. Like Isaac, all the jargon. Whenever Isaac talked about the ship, I got like glassy-eyed.
Oh yeah, that's classic Star Trek technobabble, right?
Yeah, and there was a lot of it because like, that's it, Dysonium. He was like, I need Dysonium, and it looks like there's a pocket conveniently on this moon planet or whatever. We need to go and mine it. It's like, you're gonna take 2 kids and mine Dysonium for your shuttle?
Right.
Impossible. Whatever, you're a robot, maybe. But yeah.
I kept hearing, is it Dysonium? I kept thinking disodium. Why would they need salt, But I don't know. Anyway.
Dysonium. Probably named after Freeman Dyson, the physicist.
Oh, maybe. There you go. Let's talk about a few of the gags in the show. Near the opening of the show, there's a part where Malloy says, I think, what are they talking about? Is it the black hole or something else? Not a black hole. Sorry, help me out. Was it a wormhole, a black hole? I don't know. But Malloy's like, back in the academy, we used to call this a glory hole. And then Captain Mercer's like, no, you used to call it a glory hole. No one else called it a glory hole. Then 2 seconds later, Bortus is like, now entering the glory hole, Captain. No, Bortus, forget it. That was hilarious. And, there was another joke that I had in my notes. Wait, let me get it. I think that was it. At the beginning, when they're listening to music, and someone is playing Barry Manilow, and they're talking about how great he is, and then Captain Mercer walks in, and he's like, Manilow, what a genius. I don't know, I thought that was funny. But anyway, those are my jokes for the episode.
Bortus, though.
Bortus is the best.
One word at a time. He's becoming my favorite character.
Yep, absolutely.
That's all we need.
Mm-hmm. So this episode, as far as characters, we are going to talk about Dr. Claire. What's her last name?
Finn.
Dr. Claire Finn. I mean, she is definitely a fine character. There's nothing wrong with her. She's not one of the funny ones, but I guess she kind of keeps things grounded, right? And I didn't know this until recently that she was this actress was it DS9?
Yeah.
Really?
I had no idea. I don't know.
Penny Johnson Gerald. It was, let's see, shoot. Sorry, I'm trying to recall it as quick as possible. Where is it? Keep talking and I will find it.
Cassidy Yates on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, that was Gene Sisco's love interest for a while.
That's it. That's okay. Because it's hyphenated. Not only was she a love interest, they got married.
Okay, I think I checked out a DS9 myself before we got to that point, but she was a freighter captain.
Cassidy
on that show, and yeah.
Oh wow,
I remember her now.
She looks totally different. That's why I don't remember her face. Yeah, she commanded the SS Sosha on freight runs. But anyway, that's for our DS9 podcast,
right? And she was I guess she was on the show for 4 years. So again, I didn't get past the first season, so I didn't get that far yet, but I will. So anyway, yeah, it's just nice to see another Star Trek connection, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is funny to see. I don't know. I wonder if it's kind of like an FU to have Jonathan Frakes and Brendan Braga and Penny Johnson Gerald all involved with this other show, especially Jonathan Frakes, because he was, second in command of the ship. And Brandon Braga, too, he was one of the main guys. To have them involved with this show.
Tom Paris is involved.
Right.
Practically everybody involved in in Roddenberry's world is on this show or consulting for this show or acting on the show.
And, the thing is on one hand, I've complained a lot about who's the guy that took over from Gene Roddenberry? The guy who kind of ran Star Trek for like 20 years. Remember his name?
Rick Berman?
Rick Berman. I've complained about him when they were doing, Enterprise and all that. But it's one of those things where if I could have seen what they're doing now, back then, I would have been like, ooh, maybe we should have stuck with Rick Berman, because you can complain all you want about the mistakes they made, but at least they kind of guided the ship, right? To kind of keep it on course a little bit, like keep it Star Trek. There's definitely nothing wrong with bringing in younger people with new ideas, but to me, you've always got to have someone there to keep it on course. And I think that's what Star Trek, the new Star Trek, is missing, is it doesn't feel like Star Trek at all, right? Whereas at least with Brandon Braga consulting on the Orville, he can kind of keep it in line, right? Keep it from, guiding it down the river, keeping it from hitting the shore, at least keep it on a straight line, right? But anyway, Ian.
And as to your question as to if this is Seth MacFarlane kind of thumbing his nose at Star Trek, at first I would have thought, no, this is just him surrounding himself with good people who know what he wants to do. But if it wasn't for that one little scene in the Priya episode where Priya is in the shuttle, they just first make contact with her, and she is clearly wearing a Star Trek The Next Generation uniform and looks at the camera and says, I'm in trouble. And that moment right there, that's a tell. That's Seth MacFarlane saying, yep, Star Trek's in trouble. So there is some sort of aspect of, I think, having a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Kind of rubbing Star Trek's face in what it should be.
Like, imagine right now if someone came up with a show on TV that was a cross between science fiction and fantasy, and they had George Lucas consulting, like that would be a big FU to what Disney is doing right now, right? So, I mean, unfortunately, Gene Roddenberry is not alive, but the closest you can get would be Rick Berman, and the third closest you could get would be Brendan Braga, probably, right? So,
yep. Has Rick Berman done anything for the Orville?
Not as far as I know, but
maybe we'll find out soon. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, there is a third season. So speaking of callbacks, maybe, and because we're talking about Claire Finn, I compare her all the time in my mind to Beverly Crusher because they have that same like motherly feel to them, parental, very I don't want to say matronly, but they're like kind of motherly. I feel like Claire is a better Beverly Crusher. I hate to say it.
Yeah, and I don't want to say anything bad about Beverly Crusher or Gates McFadden.
No, because Gates McFadden's a great actor, and Beverly Crusher is a great character, but there's just something about Claire, and it came out in this episode.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, yeah.
And to me, it was her survival instinct and how it showed. There was something desperate and primal about the way she handled herself when she had to escape from her situation to get to her kids that I have never seen a character in Star Trek do.
You know what? I'll agree that when she was kind of getting really emotional with her captor, that was where, I was feeling like, wow, like this is real. Like it feels real. She's a good actress. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that.
Yeah, she has a lot of edge, and I agree that Dr. Crusher and Claire Finn are very similar in a lot of ways. But Claire has more. She's a stronger person. She can deal with more adversity than Dr. Crusher. And like I'm kind of thinking back to an episode where Dr. Crusher was taken captive. It was the episode of, I think it was called The High Ground, maybe, where there's this warring faction that's developed some sort of transporter technology that's undetectable, and they steal Dr. Crusher in order to try to have her fix the medical problems that come with this sort of transporter technology. And she gets Stockholm Syndrome almost instantly. And starts sympathizing with their cause, and it becomes problematic. But here, Claire is just like, no, I need to get back to my kids. I am not going to mess around with this. And she ends up having to shoot the guy to get away from him. And I think that's I like the way that she's written a little bit more when she's dealing with hardships.
Now, did anyone catch the name of this planet? Was it called Braga 4? Or was that the planet that they were in on our last episode where they were judging Lamar?
This episode, sorry, I'm on the page right now.
Yeah, we don't know the name of this planet, do we?
Maybe not.
Okay, do you know what? Braga 4 is the other planet where they judge people. But I found it really funny that where Beverly Crusher is taken captive by the radical terrorist group. It's called Rutia 4. I just thought the coincidence was kind of... Anyway. It has nothing to do with this now. So
I got you, yeah.
Just saying.
So this episode was important, as we'll see, for the development of Isaac's relationship with Claire and the kids, which will come back in season 2. So overall, I thought this was a really good episode. Not perfect, but definitely I think the closest we've seen to a serious Star Trek episode.
My only issue with this episode is I think the romance plot between Claire and Isaac is a little implausible. I can see how it forms, and I can absolutely see the bond between the kids and Isaac, but between those two, I can't really see it, and I can see it, but it feels a little forced, a little shoehorned in there.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that.
But beyond that, I think that the tone of this episode was great. It was fairly consistent, and very Star Trek-y in a way that really worked.
Right. All right. So I guess that wraps up our episode reviewing Into the Fold. You can find MORE-VILLE, ORVILLE wherever podcasts are found. Every week we do, well, not every week, almost every freaking day now. But we would definitely be reviewing every episode, and we're going to catch up so that we're ready to go for season 3. So please stick with us and leave a review or a discussion wherever you find us. We'd love to hear from you.
Positive reviews only.
Yes, exactly. Upvotes only.
Negative reviews will be thrown into the glory hole.
Exactly, yes. So there you go. I want to thank G.I. Julian Champion for joining me again.
Oh,
thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And there's more where that came from.